Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Politics Now. We're talking about modern politics in modern America. And today, we're going to be discussing if RFK Jr. will affect the 2024 race and what to extent he will, and generally what candidate he will affect the most. So, yeah, let's get into that. So, RFK Jr. has recently announced that he's dropping out of the Democrat primary race because at this point, he's not getting anywhere close to Biden. And Biden, he's going to get the nomination no matter what. Even though he's extremely unpopular with pretty much everyone, including Democrats, they're still going to go with him because, I mean, the other options aren't exactly great. And RFK Jr., they don't really like him because uh, he's kind of different on some issues. So, of course, he's immediately despised by the Democrats and they just get him out. So, RFK Jr. is now an independent and he's polling pretty high. And he is likely to take the most votes away from either candidate out of all the third parties. Libertarians, they're not really running anybody special. Greens, they're pretty much just focusing on taking votes away from Democrats. So, I mean, they're probably not going to do much. And then no labels. A lot of people don't even know that they exist. So, I mean, they're probably just going to take a couple of votes away from Biden, and that's not really going to help him. So, Trump at this point, he's got all the third parties working against his opponent. So, yeah, he's got the third parties on fold. Now, RFK Jr., he's a kind of a different story because one, he is very Democrat and pretty much agrees with Biden on every single issue outside of the COVID mandates and some other smaller issues. But outside of that, there's a reason why he went for the Democrat nomination because he is a full blown liberal. He was an environmental lawyer for most of his life, and he is pretty much agreeing with every single point on the Democrats outside of maybe the COVID mandates, which isn't really that special since there are a lot of Democrats who vote for Biden who also don't like the COVID mandates. And that's pretty much most of his support base. And some of the Ron DeSantis voters who know Ron DeSantis isn't going to win out, some of them are going towards RFK Jr., but they don't really stay that often. They kind of just join in for 1 week and then just hop on to all support whoever the Republican nominee is going to be, which it's going to be Trump. I mean, he's beating DeSantis by almost 45 points at this point. So Trump is going to be the nominee, Biden is going to be the nominee, and RFK Jr. is going to take votes away from one or the other. And RFK Jr., he's more popular with Republicans now, but I guarantee it that Donald Trump, as soon as he wins the nomination, he's going to go railing on RFK Jr. because RFK Jr., if he is not railed against by Trump and Trump doesn't completely demolish him and all of the Republicans who support him, then he's going to be a pain in the ass for Trump. And he's already a pain in the ass for Biden because Biden, he can't really do that. He can't get all of his voters away from RFK Jr. because RFK Jr. has a lot of the same positions on policies that Biden does already have. And he's got the COVID stuff, which is going to win over the more moderate Democrats and maybe some of the left leaning independents who are going to vote for RFK Jr. when otherwise, if it was only Trump and Biden, they would vote for Biden. So, RFK Jr., he's mostly a Democrat and he's more popular with Republicans, but that's probably going to go down after Republicans realize, oh yeah, he's basically Biden, except he disagrees on one issue, and that's pretty much it. It's the same thing that happened with Ron DeSantis, where you have a ton of these people who like Ron and they like Trump a little bit more, but they're still going to support Ron in the primary, and then, they find out who he really is and what his real positions are on this kind of stuff, and now he's at 14, 13, 12%. So, RFK Jr., same thing is probably going to happen to him. Maybe not to the extent that DeSantis fell, but maybe a little bit. He might lose half of his base from his 8 or 9%. He might fall to 4 to 3%, but most of that is going to be the Democrats who don't really like Biden, but they're also not going to support Trump. So RFK Jr.'s base when it comes election day is going to be the left leaning independents and more moderate Democrats who would vote for Biden if it weren't for RFK Jr. being there, which that is going to hurt Biden in a lot of these states. And even with him being so popular with Republicans compared to Democrats, if you put him in polling, he actually hurts Biden way more. Every single swing state, in, including Florida for some reason, every single swing state here, he Trump is winning because a lot of these third parties are stealing votes away from Biden, and that's a real big issue for Biden because he's going to have a ton of third parties who are also going to be taking votes away. Every single third party outside of the libertarians, which they're not exactly running a strong campaign, so they're not exactly going to get a lot of votes. They are all left leaning and they are all going to take away votes from Biden. And if Biden wants to win more of these competitive states like Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, he's going to need to either destroy all these other parties' chances at winning any support, and especially RFK Jr., because if he does not attack RFK Jr. and election day comes, RFK Jr. is basically going to screw him over, because it all depends on how these candidates react to RFK Jr., because playing friends with him is going to get you nowhere. It's just going to steal way more voters away from you. And Biden, he doesn't really do that. He's not really the go after my opponents and completely destroy their campaign. That's a Trump thing. That is a thing that Trump has mastered. Biden, yeah, not so much. I mean, he couldn't even do it really with Bernie in 2020 when he was getting the nomination. He didn't even do that with his main opponent, who was going for the nomination and was in the front runner for a while until Biden won. So, if Biden can't even do that in 2020, where he's at a wildly better mental state, how is he going to do this in 2024 where most people hate him? He can barely function and his opposition is basically him, except maybe slightly to the right on some issues, but not really. They're pretty much in the same headspace. So RFK Jr., it's going to be a major pain for Biden. If Trump doesn't attack him, then it will also be a pain for Trump because, again, Republicans support him a lot more than Democrats, and Trump is going to need to work on that and fix that. Otherwise, RFK Jr. is going to help to weaken his campaign in 2024, which Trump does not have the time or resources to be letting another candidate who's polling at 8 or 9% steal a ton of votes away from him, because this race and a lot of these states are going to be very, very close. Trump needs all the support he needs to win a lot of these states. Florida, not so much. North Carolina, he'll probably win. Wisconsin, it's honestly at the same level as North Carolina at this rate. It's moving farther to the right. Nevada, he probably will win. It's still going to be competitive, but probably not as competitive as a lot of these states here, like Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, even Pennsylvania, because he needs to win 3 states, and he already has 2 of them relatively secure. He just needs to win Pennsylvania, which is going to be the hardest to win out of all those 3 states that he needs to win to get his 270. So, if you attack RFK Jr., you weaken his base, and you take those Republican voters who supported RFK Jr., and you move them back to supporting you. That's what Trump needs to do. Biden, he needs to also do that, and he needs to work extra hard than Trump because RFK Jr., again, is basically Biden, but slightly different. It is the smallest modification to a candidate where you have one who has this sets of this set of principles, and then you have another candidate who is only different on one issue. And that's pretty much why Republicans support him, because he's different on that one issue and they like that. So Trump is probably going to have a way easier time at dealing with RFK than Biden. And come election day, yeah, it's going to hurt Biden a lot more. Trump, maybe a little bit, but Biden is going to be infinitely more hurt. He's already getting hurt by RFK Jr. announcing his independent campaign already. So if this carries on and Trump weakens his Republican support, then it's going to be a lot worse. And you're going to see polling like this be a lot worse come election day. Because if RFK Jr. is still in the race and still polling a lot of Democrats, Biden is fucked. He is fucked. So, yeah. If you think RFK Jr. will affect Trump more, leave them in the comments below. If you think he'll affect Biden more, leave them in the comments below. Or if you think he will affect no one and, I don't know, just drop out of the race, I guess. Leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.